What's up, everyone? This is 49ers Coast to Coast. I'm on the West Coast, Grant Cohn. He's on the East Coast, Jason Aponte, and today we're going to play a game. The game doesn't have a name, but here's how it works. I'm going to say a storyline, one of the top storylines of the season, heading into training camp for me, and then you say one. And then we'll get to 10, and then we'll have a show, and then the game is over. I think that's a pretty good game.
Yeah, and it's not exactly like Jigsaw or nothing like that. You know, usually when people say let's play a game, it doesn't end that well. This seems a little bit like the stakes aren't as high.
It's my kind of game. I like that. So by the end of this game, we'll have a much better sense of where the Niners stand and what's at stake. This is kind of how I organize my thoughts before a season because I don't care if the Niners win or lose. I'm just thinking storylines because I'm Big J journalist, as you're going to be.
I mean, we're going to be camp buddies. This looks like,
and I mean,
I had to get tips from Grant on how to dress, on what's the decorum, what to bring and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm excited, man. I booked my flight today, and I'm leaving out next week. I'll be there next week, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm juiced right now. Like all the talk around Twitter now. We can actually have something to talk about that can back either side of whatever argument you're on. So I love it, man. There's so many things to talk about. I'm absolutely juiced.
Also excited to meet you. Never met you before. I hear you're very tall. So there are things that we'll learn. All right. So let's do it this way. It's my show. It's my channel. So I get home field advantage. That means you have to hit first.
Go for
it. For top storyline, and these aren't in no particular order. This is the first one that comes to mind for you. Top storyline, one of the top storylines heading into the offseason for the 49ers.
Yeah, Javon Kinlaw's progression. And that's the first one that jumps out right to me because now we're going to get a chance to see him with the full complement that was designed around him when they drafted him, right? Like no one drafted Javon Kinlaw in the way of saying we need him to be the immediate guy to be DeForest Buckner. Now I think that we're going to get a chance to really see Nick Bosa on one side, either Ebukam, D Ford, whoever else, Armstead, and you can get a full complement around him. The progression of Javon Kinlaw is very crucial to this defense and also to this regime. You took him where you took him, and you traded back, and the pick before that Tampa got was Tristan Wirfs, right?
Yes. So
Javon Kinlaw has to work because Tristan works, and when it's that high, and you allow someone to get in front of you to take someone, the guy that you choose has to ball out. And unfortunately, a lot of expectations have been placed on Kinlaw because he is replacing an All-Pro in DeForest Buckner. But the progression of Javon Kinlaw is going to be crucial to this defense's success going into the season.
Agreed. And people need to understand he's already a good player. He's not Solomon Thomas. He's a good player. He's good against a run. He's a load. He can push the pocket. But if he could improve his pass rush, if he could be a guy who could win a one-on-one matchup, that would be a huge development for this team.
What he did really well last year was stuff the run, and he shed blocks quickly, and he looked like that guy. And the pick six in the Rams game is what everybody's going to remember. But there's glimpses and there's flashes, and again, not everybody's journey is the same.
Right.
People join this league and they dominate. Some guys, it'll take them a year or two to get up to speed. And I think that the progression of Javon Kinlaw is something that needs to be watched because if he can become what they believe he can become, healthy, got his knee scoped and everything and taken care of, if he can become what this team believes and what a lot of people believe, including myself, because I really do think he's a great player, the sky's the limit for this defense.
And I'm thinking of this particular topic from the perspective of someone covering camp, a journalist. You don't think of Kinlaw because he's last year's first round pick, but he's still very important. He's still young. Fans still want to know about his development. So you can't write enough about Javon Kinlaw. If you see him in one-on-ones and you can describe it in like slow motion detail, good. Fans want to see it. So don't forget about Javon Kinlaw. He's a very important character in this story this season. Big time. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm excited.
Right, my turn. Let me go. In the same vein, Mike McGlinchey's development or bounce back. This is very important. They've put a lot of effort and resources into improving the offensive line this offseason. They brought in Alex Mack. They spent a second-round pick on a guard. They spent a 5th-round pick on a guard. They brought in a 6'9" giant from Mexico to play offensive tackle as well. They brought in all kind of stuff, but they stuck with Mike McGlinchey. And they're saying a better supporting cast, a better offseason, more weight training, more mass will lead to a better season for him. It better, because if he plays like he did last year, he kind of ruins everything they're building. He needs to at least be as good as he was in 2019.
Well, Mike Golick, I believe he was on the Niners Nation podcast, talked about Mike McGlinchey being in the best shape of his life. So again, it's hard to jump into and take those sort of quotes and draw anything from them because, excuse me, all you ever hear about players is, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm finally healthy. So
Kyle said that about McGlinchey last year.
Right. So Mike Golick saying that, it does give you a little bit of more confidence, but I really believe that the Aaron Banks thing is going to be really helpful to him. But you know what? Call it speculating, call it, wishing on a dream, but two gold domers next to each other, both of them really, understanding how to play the position. So I think that, it is crucial that Mike McGlinchey gets this done because it is his 5th-year option. And if the 49ers don't bring him back, then, or sign him and don't wish to sign him, then that is a big signal that you kind of whiffed on that pick. When you draft somebody,
you don't have any first-round picks to replace him.
Right. And if you draft somebody that high, you're not drafting them for a 5-year rookie deal. You're drafting them because that's a cornerstone of your offensive line. So this is, for lack of a better term, a put up or shut up year for Mike McGlinchey. I think he realizes that. And I think that it's going to be all determined on the field. So that's a definite good call because what he does is so vital to the run game because as much as we complain about what he does in the pass game, he is elite in run blocking. That's not even a subjective answer. That's an objective answer. He's elite at what he does at run blocking. If he improves even a little in pass protection, then you're talking about hitting on a pick that ninth pick? The ninth pick? You're getting the value that you wanted from a ninth pick.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever get 9th pick value from Mike McGlinchey, but as long as he's 310, 315, 320, and not 285, they're good. And it looks like that's what they need from him. You can't play the position at 285. Sure, you could be a good run blocker in space with a little less weight on you, but you can't play the position like that, dude. So just a 315-pound Mike McGlinchey for 17 games would be a huge addition because the 285-pound version, in my opinion, not a good football player. 310, he's fine. I don't know if he's the 9th pick, but he's fine.
And we talked about him talking about his own performance over the offseason, right? Yes. I wasn't up to my standard. Good. Those are the things that you want to hear, right?
Everything sounds good so far.
Right. And everything that that we know about, those pass blocking reps when those issues happen, they usually happen in the biggest portion of the game. That's why they're so magnified. So, I'm not trying to.
Same thing happened to him at Notre Dame. It's kind of been his. So, yeah.
I'm not trying to deflect away from it. It's just that it's under the microscope because it always happened. It happened on a crucial 3rd down, or it happened on a final drive, and it put them back. And so I think he understands everything. Of all accounts, he's handling things the right way. He's beefed up. He realizes that he needs to play better. And again, I believe that he understands that it's a put up or shut up year for himself. So I'm excited to see what his progression will look like this year.
Yeah, this could be a good story. Okay, number 3, you're up.
Okay, number 3. Mm-hmm. Who are the backup cornerbacks beside Verrett and Mosley, right? Because I think they're locked in. You're not penciling them in. You're writing them in with Sharpie at this point. Those are your 2 starters. Who are the people behind them? And this is a concern that I've voiced many times about, God forbid something happens to Verrett. God forbid something happens to Mosley. This is a cornerback room, not a defensive back room, because I think they're pretty set as safety. A cornerback room that you are one injury away from bad things happening. And that's really what I'm talking about. So does Embry Thomas take a step? Is Diamadere Lenore, the next guy? Because you're literally one injury away from Dante Johnson being pushed back into, and no disrespect to him. It's just, that's not
he's a special teams player.
Right. Oh, and he's a very solid end of the roster guy. You know, he's always going to have a spot on this team because he's professional. He goes about his business the right way. Fine. And for the people that bashed him last year after he gave up that touchdown to Fulham, I believe he tore his groin on the play, and it was like the best pass of Carson Wentz's life.
Yeah, it was
of
really
his
good.
life. Literally. He couldn't have thrown it up into a balloon and had it drop down into the spot better than that, honestly. So while everybody makes their jokes about Dante Johnson, the cornerback depth is something that I worry about. I really do, because injuries are going to happen. It's this is football. This is how the game goes. And if there is an injury to one of the two starting cornerbacks, now things get a little bit hairy. And then couple that with the fact that you don't know if this pass rush, the pass rush should be better. It can't be worse than it was last year. And I'm not saying worse in a way that it was terrible. It's just that they were missing all of their best players on the edge. So it can't be worse. But if this pass rush isn't as ferocious as people believe it will be, the cornerbacks are going to have to do more covering. And that's what I get a little bit worried about as the depth behind those guys.
See, I'm curious to see what this cornerback thing in camp is. Ambry Thomas in the mix to start, because he is more gifted than Emmanuel Moseley. It's a lot like what's happening at quarterback between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like there are reasons to start Jimmy Garoppolo, but when one's clearly more gifted, and that's the same thing going on here at corner. So is Ambry ready? If he is, he could start, and Emmanuel Moseley could be the backup. And all of a sudden you look at the depth as better, because you got an experienced guy waiting in the wings just in case Jason Verrett gets hurt, Ambry Thomas falters. It looks better. So if Ambry Thomas can assert himself as a start, obviously that makes the depth look better. That's the kind of the way I'm looking at it, because I guess I don't expect a ton from Diamador Lenore as a rookie. I could be wrong. It seems like that by taking Ambry Thomas where they did, they're leaving the door open for him to take that spot. Plus, they're not spending that much on Moseley.
And another thing is I think that if once the 49ers get into camp and they start to realize what they have, after a few days, you really start to understand what you have. I think that's when, if there is an issue with depth, I think the 49ers will reach out. Hi, Steven Nelson. What are you doing today? We need to make a call. Let's make a call to Steven Nelson, because he's been a productive cornerback in this league for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's still unsigned. And it's not he's unsigned because he has a big injury or he fell off the map or anything like that. It's just the way the league is played out. A lot of teams, and Eric Crocker is the one who told me this. A lot of teams, you go into your camp trying to figure out, what do you have? Okay, what do you have with the guys that you drafted and you hope to develop? I think after a few days and after a few reps with actual pads on and things are moving, you start to realize where guys are. And that's when you see veterans get the call later on. Like, hey, do you want to come in? You don't want to bring those guys in automatically, because you want to see what you have in Ambry Thomas. So Steven Nelson's there. He should be sitting by the phone. I'm sure that wouldn't be the only team that's going to come calling, but I have a feeling the 49ers are going to do all they can to try and develop the cornerbacks that they have right now that they've drafted, because it is important to develop the guys that you drafted to show that you can develop players from different positions.
True. Luis says, being real here, what have you seen from the Mexican guy, Alfredo Gutierrez? Does he have any chance to make it somehow onto the team? We haven't seen him yet. No. I haven't really seen him yet. We're going to see him, both of us will see him in training camp. You can see him in the one-on-one drills, in 11-on-11s. We'll see. We'll let you know. That's an underrated storyline. Alfredo Gutierrez. You know why? Because a lot of people want to know. That makes him a story. And I think what he's playing for probably right now, practice squad. And I think he might have a chance, because although I don't know what his experience is, he's giant. There's very few people as big as him. So if the Niners feel there's potential there, he could be a practice squad guy. And then that means he's one injury, 1 year, a little bit of development away from being somebody. So I wouldn't dismiss him. I don't know if he's going to contribute this year. Haven't seen him yet. But I think they're hoping, most likely, that there's potential here that they can cultivate over time.
And that's the thing, is you take a swing on a guy like this because he is a giant. And if you can bring what you believe his potential is out of him, right? Daniel Brunskill kicked around the CFL, the AAF or
USF thing, whatever.
And,
AAFF.
And look, And there's plenty of people on 49ers Twitter who call him Aaron Donald's daddy. And there's sometimes that like you can find diamonds in the rough like that. Sometimes that's a little bit of a detriment.
Aaron Donald calls him his daddy? I don't think so.
No. He doesn't even. He probably doesn't even know who Brunskill is because he doesn't know who Deebo Samuel is. But I think that sometimes it's a little bit of a detriment with the way that they go through things because sometimes they bargain bin dive on certain players and hoping to get that. And when they do get it, they're like, oh, aha. But then you don't talk about the 4 or 5 times that you tried it other times and it didn't work. So, look, I'm interested to see what he has because I can't speculate on what he has because I haven't seen him play. But I understand the thought process, and it could be a good ace up your sleeve to have him on the practice squad just in case, barring injury.
At least he has a position. I remember when they brought in Lawrence Okoye, who was an Olympian, who was foreign and had never really played the sport and hell of an athlete. They didn't even know what to play him. They tried him on the D line. They tried him on the offensive line. Not a football player. This guy is a football player, has a position. That's a good start. So I'm very curious. All right, let's move on. Oh, wait, just got another one. T-Money Sacktown says, hey, G, you said Hasty is a mini Marshawn Lynch. Wouldn't it benefit the Niners if they use him to tire out the D and then put Mostert in for a big gain? I think the similarities between Marshawn Lynch and JaMychal Hasty are the hair and the jump
dreads.
cuts.
I was about to say the
jump cuts. Also, he runs very hard for a little guy, but he's very little. I feel like he's the new Jeff Wilson Jr. in the sense that he's not going to make the 53. And another team's not going to pick him up. He'll go to the practice squad, and he could play this year. I mean, Jeff Wilson Jr. got cut a bunch of time by the Niners, and other teams should have picked him up and didn't. I think we'll kind of see the same thing with Hasty. It's my prediction.
Yeah, and look, I love Hasty, and I love what I saw in glimpses, right? In the Patriots game, you can point to him, looking actually really good. But I think that Trey Sermon's more equipped to take that role right now, and especially when you consider the draft capital. Hasty's undrafted. So you're kind of playing with house money when you have an undrafted free agent on the team. Trey Sermon was somebody that they moved up, got in the 3rd round. So it's going to be hard for him to jump over somebody that they've invested that much into. And, look, unpopular opinion, I think Trey Sermon is a better football player than JaMychal Hasty, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. Hold on real quick. Fog City Niner says, Iggy, I thought you were on vacay. He's in town. He invited me out to dinner. It was very nice. I'm flying out tonight, and I'm streaming all day. So I didn't get back to you. My bad. That's what's happening. I'm flying out tonight. I'm going to be at Oakland Airport at 6:00, and I'm going to be
big time Grant. That's what happened.
Big time. Sorry, my bad. Next time, I promise. All right, my turn. Number 4. Okay, Nick Bosa's recovery. I think this is a huge story. We don't know how much he's going to play. We don't know if he's going to be the same. Is he going to be 80% of what he used to be? Or is he going to take this in stride the way he's taken other big injuries in stride and just pick up where he left off? Because it seems to me that with the loss of Robert Saleh, and that's another storyline down the line, the thing that should offset the loss of Saleh is the return of Nick Bosa. I mean, this is the biggest addition the Niners have this year on defense, certainly. Nick Bosa. If he's not special, this defense could struggle. If he is special, his defense could be dominant. I think he's probably the most important player on the team this year other than quarterbacks, Nick Bosa.
Yeah, and there's an argument to be made about who's the most important player on this team. Is it George Kittle? Is it Trent Williams? Is it Nick Bosa?
Yeah.
But what Nick Bosa did in 2019 was absolutely transform this defense, transform it from day one. Even though he got his first sack later in that game, you could see the impact. And again, sacks aren't everything. Can you pressure the quarterback? Can you get him off his spot? Can you make him make bad decisions? So I don't
He's the
take
best
the whole,
at that.
Yeah, and I don't take sacks as the way to I guess assess pass rushers. I believe that pressures are the best way to predict future sacks. So again, if Nick Bosa is even 85% of what he was in 2019, and we hope that Javon Kinlaw takes a step, we hope that Ebukam is the other side, we hope that maybe even D Ford can contribute, then I think they should be fine. The problem becomes, does Nick Bosa become a snap count guy? Because he was on the field literally every single down in 2019. Guy was a workhorse. He was incredible. And I think that
especially down the stretch.
Yeah. And I think it's unfair to expect that.
Yeah.
It's in the range of outcomes, and it can happen again because he is that good. But I don't think it's fair to expect him to be at that level in 2019. But I certainly expect him to have an impact. And what he does is so vital to what the 49ers do on defense. And I just talked about the development of Javon Kinlaw. He's not going to get those one-on-one looks without Nick Bosa getting the extra attention on one side or someone getting the extra attention on the other side. So I think that not only is he vital to their defense, he's vital for a lot of other people's development on this defensive line.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, as you said, there's such a wide range of outcomes that could happen with Nick Bosa, that's why this is such an intriguing storyline. You don't know. You really don't know. You could see him having 15 sacks this year. You could see him having 5. You could see him playing 80% of the snaps. You could see him playing 35. It's hard to say. So I'm very curious to see what he looks like in camp. He wasn't there at OTAs. He was working out on his own in Florida, which, all things considered, maybe a smart move.
He's from Florida. He's from Florida. There's nothing like being in your home, like being able to drive home, go back home, and then just go to the place. So there's a comfort there. So we hope all those things are going to lead to it. I personally think the kid's a baller. I just don't think it's fair to expect 2019 because he was so good in 2019. He was incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure what the expectations are, but boy, they need him. There's a lot. I don't know. You don't have to even say it. He knows it. There's a lot of pressure on him to perform. Big time. Okay, Number 5, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. I want to see Samson Ebukam, and I want to see how he's going to be utilized because we've talked about it, speed rusher, and a lot of people weren't as, I guess, in tune with what he did based on, hey, it was that one game against the Rams where it was like 55 to like 51 that game was, and he had a touchdown in that game. Certain games that he popped, but I feel like 49er fans were not, even though the Rams are blood rivals, weren't as familiar with him. And that's really what we need to see from him. Are they going to utilize him as a speed rusher? Are they going to show him to decoy and drop him into coverage? I think that's a portion that people aren't talking about as far as an X factor and how flexible DeMeco Ryans can be when he's talking about how he wants to call these games. Can he pull up to the line, look like he's got his hand in the dirt, then dip right back into coverage and create some confusion? If you even create half a second of confusion in the NFL, that's a lifetime. That's enough for someone else to come get the quarterback. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to utilize him and where he's at this point in his career and what he can contribute to the 49ers.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if I have anything more to add on that one than you. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good one. I don't know. Sorry.
I'm keeping so what we're doing is we're going, like, with me, I'm gonna keep giving you the normal ones, and then 10 is the big one. You know what?
I got 10. I'm on 10, so I'll handle that one when it comes to.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I got a little curveball with that one, but
okay.
Anything else you want to add on that one? I don't know.
No, I'm just interested to see because it seemed like the team was enamored with him and they targeted him. They wanted to make sure that they got him over here. So it seems like they wanted him there, and I'm interested to see what sort of plans they have, and I'm interested to see how DeMeco Ryans utilizes him.
See, to me, the thing that's so interesting about Ebukam is I feel like pass rush philosophy is changing in the NFL. This is what I wanted to say. It used to be all about pressure, right? Get the guy off his spot. Get him off his spot. I don't know that that's what you want to do anymore for like 75% of the quarterbacks. Once you get to do, it's like, I think a lot of times it's like, keep him on the spot.
Keep him in the pocket.
Make him play quarterback. Like, I don't know about this Kyler Murray being able to make him play quarterback. Make Josh Allen play quarterback. Make Carson Wentz play quarterback. And a lot of times when you just flush him out, you're hurting yourself. And a guy like Samson Ebukam, he's not going to let him out on his side. Well, he's going to be sound. He's going to rush a bull rush. He's going to constrict the pocket. He's not going to run in wildly. And if a guy tries to escape, the guy's going to run him down. So that's what I was
going to say. He has the speed. He has the speed to, and again, that's another reason why they targeted him. Again, you can't let Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson get out of the pocket. You have someone who can chase him down. They haven't had someone fast enough to chase those guys down since Quan Alexander. So I think that's another thing that they're looking at. So that's what makes Samson Ebukam so interesting. He's a jack of all trades. Is he a bull rusher? Is he a pass rusher? Is he somebody in coverage? Is he somebody that can run these elusive quarterbacks down? I'm super interested to see how he looks in camp.
Okay. All right. My turn. Number 6. DeMeco Ryans in general. I think he's one of the – I think that the national media is starting to figure it out too. And when you talk about this team, losing Saleh is a big deal. Losing Saleh is almost more of the storyline than DeMeco Ryans because The way Fred Warner talks about him, I'm sold. I mean, I haven't seen him game plan. No one's seen him call plays, but for Fred Warner to talk that way about someone means a lot. I mean, Fred Warner wouldn't make it up, and he's a good judge of character. He's a good judge of intelligence and all that. So I think he should be good, but what kind of a step down is he going to be from someone who has kind of mastered the craft and had more experience than him? Because Robert Saleh, to me, wasn't even that good his first year. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't bad, but he improved so much in 4 years. He was like decent, and then he was expert level. What is Ryan's going to be? How many coordinators kill it their first year? The dude Staley down in LA did, right? But most don't. Or defensive coordinators.
Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of coordinators that jump in, offensive or defensive, that kill it their first year because nobody's seen what they were doing. And I'm glad that you brought up the Saleh thing, because Saleh is one of the very few examples, unless I'm forgetting one and someone else can point it out for me, of a coordinator getting really slept on his first few years and saying, man, this guy can't adjust, and then becoming this good to become a head coach, right? So I think with the DeMeco Ryans thing is he's going to take his lumps, right? It's not about the personnel. It's not about who you have. It's about being able to play call at the right time. And that's why I still stand. And I still stand here. And I'll tell you, Robert Saleh's best job wasn't in 2019. It was last year.
I agree.
Everything that he did last year.
There's a reason he didn't get hired after 2019 and did after 2020. There's a reason.
Right. After 2020, everybody looked around and said, listen, this team responds to him, and he had to do more with less. But look, he turned, Kasarik has a lot to do with this as well, too.
Yes.
Kerry Hyder was an afterthought, led the team in sacks. And he had to figure out new ways to bring blitzes and bring pressure, because he didn't have those guys who would be in the backfield. So it's going to be interesting to see how DeMeco Ryans does this. All reports indicate everything's going to be much more aggressive as far as man-to-man, some more blitzing, and that's a little bit more in line with 2017 Robert Saleh at that point. Like, that's what he did a lot more, like, having Tart at the line, sending guys in with extra pressure, because he didn't have those studs like Nick Bosa and Dee Ford in 2019. So it's going to be super interesting. DeMeco Ryans is going to take his lumps, but can he improve, and can he continue to grow? And I think that's going to be the thing to watch as well, too.
Yeah, can he continue to grow? Because I think he's going to try to keep things as similar as possible from last year, because he coached under Saleh for 3 years. They have a good thing going. They have a lot of veterans on this defense that know what Saleh was doing. I don't think they're going to change a ton, but can he grow? Is he just going to try to Xerox last year's playbook and go from there? Probably not. So I'm curious. I'm optimistic about DeMeco Ryans. He's got a lot to work with, and he may have Nick Bosa. He definitely has. I think he has Fred Warner. The extension is probably a subtopic, but we assume he's getting that extension. And if he's got Fred Warner, that's like a co-coordinator almost. It's a very helpful player to have.
Absolutely. And remember, quarterback of the defense, linebacker, DeMeco Ryans played linebacker. There's nobody who he trusts more and values more than Fred Warner. So if Fred's going to be in charge of more, I'm happy with that, because I know that he can handle it.
Okay, you're up.
Okay, I'm up. Jalen Hurd. And this is it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take one of yours or anything like that. But
no, it's all right.
3rd round pick. This team is not giving up on him. And a 3rd round pick is not something that's like, he was just a 3rd round pick. No, those are valuable. Those are very valuable. Okay. And, I've highlighted it here on Twitter. Terry McLaurin was on the board, and he took Jalen Hurd.
Yep.
Jalen Hurd has to work. There has to be something. You have to show something now. And I'm not talking about injuries, okay? Because he could be healthy and not productive. There's a world where that happens. He needs to show something, and the progression needs to be there, and you need to figure out how they're going to use him. And you can't, because for every 5th round gem, Kittle, Warner, these 3rd round ones, they're going to pile up. The problem is when you miss on and we talked about it, when you miss on a 1st or 2nd or 3rd rounder, the next year in the draft, you're backtracking to make up that loss.
Yes, you are.
They literally could have taken anybody else at this point with Jalen Hurd. No disrespect to him at all. They literally could have taken anybody else and gotten something out of that player. Something, not nothing. Because all we've gotten out of Jalen Hurd is 1 quarter of action in a preseason game.
That's right.
Literally. That's it.
And 2 weeks of practice, if that.
Right. And when the 49ers didn't go out and address wide receiver 3, right, they stood right in front of the camera and told you, we believe Jalen Hurd is going to be big for us. So they want this to work, and they need it to work because it is a third-round pick. I am interested to see where he's at right now, what he can contribute, and how they plan to utilize him. Look, I've mentioned that they plan to utilize him in the way that they do with Chase Claypool in Pittsburgh, with the way that they can move him around like a chess piece, give him push passes, try to throw those 50-50 balls into the end zone. That's fine and all, but can you put it into actual games, and can you see production from it? That's going to be a huge question mark because this team desperately needs a wide receiver 3 to step up, no matter who it is, because God forbid one of these guys goes down, man. You don't have Kendrick Bourne to sit there anymore and be the reliable guy who will be on the field all the time. So they need one of these guys to step up.
Yeah, and it seems like the Niners are really hoping and praying and wishing that it's Jalen Hurd, because if it's not, then it's Mohamed Sanu, who, if the Niners cut him, he may not be on another team. And then if it's not him, it's Juwan Jennings, who was a 7th-round pick and was on the practice squad last year, which means any other team in the league could have put him on their 53-man roster. And they were like, no.
Wasn't he injured last year? Like for the year though, like then they threw him on the IR
during practice during the practice squad in practice in October. He got hurt, but he was available. Of course, he's a 7th-round pick. I'm just saying they clearly want Jalen Hurd to take this, and they could have brought in Julio Jones. They could have brought in any number of people. A lot of people want him to draft a wide receiver, didn't. And why? Because they need Jalen Hurd to work out. They need him to work out. And if he doesn't, they're in a tough spot. Now they really need Mohamed Sanu to work out.
And that's a 3rd-round pick that you whiffed on. For every Brandon Ayuk, there's the Dante Pettis's and the other guys who haven't worked out in certain rounds. And, you don't want to add Jalen Hurd to that list because I see the vision. I see it. It's there. I understand exactly how devastating he could be to defenses, especially if everybody's healthy and you're running those 3 receiver sets, or, maybe you're running 4 receiver sets with Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and Jalen Hurd. How do you defend all of those guys, especially when what we know about Jalen Hurd is that and he fits in the mold of the Debo Samuel type, where get the ball in his hands and then get out of his way. He's a yards after the catch guy. I'm just very interested to see where he goes from here. And the 49ers do need him to work right now, because then you're talking about trying to rely on Travis Benjamin or Richie James or River Craycraft, or maybe even going to kick the tires on Golden Tate, or now it puts you in a position where you have to kind of scramble. So your 3rd-round pick has to work this training camp, and you have to see progression from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the vision for him was to be an integral part of the offense, someone who would not just be your number 3 receiver, but one of your running backs too. When he was at Baylor, he ran the ball about 50 times in 12 games. I'm sure he would get short yardage carries, goal line carries. He'd be an integral part of the red zone offense, maybe even a bigger part than George Kittle. The theory of Jalen Hurd is that he would be very important to this team, but let's see it. And I know anytime I can. What?
No, you got it.
Anytime I put up a Jalen Hurd video, it does numbers. People are dying to see this dude. Maybe it does numbers because he's such an enigma.
So that's the thing, and he is the absolute poster child of the positionless football that Kyle Shanahan wants to run. Line him up with tight end, line him up in the slot, line him up outside, line him up in the backfield, line him up at the fullback position, line him up anywhere. He can play anywhere. I get it 100%, and I do think that there's a lot of intrigue behind it. All accounts are that he's going to be healthy, ready to roll. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, because they do need this pick to work out.
Okay, my turn.
Dope.
The quarterback competition. I'm going to do it now.
Okay, do it now.
I'm going to do it now because I got a special bonus at number 10. The quarterback competition, it's obviously a huge storyline. I've never covered one before. Coaches usually don't want to have them because it allows the media to make the pick, the fans to make the pick, kind of like how the fans vetoed Mac Jones. I'll go to my grave believing the fans vetoed Mac Jones.
Good.
I don't know what the Niners thought they were going to do, but the fans made that real clear what was not going to happen. So I'm curious to see how Kyle Shanahan, how the whole thing unfolds, how Trey Lance responds to the pressure, how Jimmy Garoppolo responds to the pressure, how the whole thing's structured, how the whole thing is broadcast and spun by the team, by the local media, by the national media. It's going to be a circus, and I'm going to be involved, and I cannot freaking wait. I'm so excited.
I can't believe that my first actual credential, anything sort of like this, is going to be around this. And and you're absolutely right. I'm very interested how the national media is going to portray it. With me, I'm going to be able to say, well, I was there and I got to see with my eyes. That's not what happened. So I'm ready to be 100% objective, down the middle here. If Jimmy Garoppolo uses this as fuel to, push himself to another level, great
story. Great story. Yeah.
But if Trey comes out and balls, I am not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I'm going to tell you guys he looks better, and that's it. And I don't care whose feelings get hurt. I'm going to be able to see it with my eyes. And I won't be the only one who's saying that unless other people want to spin whatever narratives about what they want about it. But I cannot wait to watch this unfold, and the national media can't either. I mean, the 49ers have been, since the draft, since they moved up to 3, have been the focus of the national media at this point.
Yes, they have.
There's still people talking about this right now, and there's no new information to add. People are like, it's obviously Trey. Bro, let's wait. Let's see some bullets start flying in training camp, and then we'll start to make that decision.
That's true. Yeah.
I can't wait.
I really think the Niners are the best. This is the best storyline in the NFL this offseason.
Easily. 100%.
The Niners are the most interesting team. And HBO should have insisted on the Niners being the hard knock team because, God, the ratings you could get broadcasting like the behind the scenes of a real quarterback competition to be unreal. So we're going to be hard knocks this year. And what's cool is there's going to be a demand for the most minute details. And so it's all going to be about taking in raw data, writing it down, relaying it. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And while also keeping an eye on Javon Kinlaw, keeping an eye on Mike McGlinchey. It's going to be a lot to take in. And it's why it's helpful to have a friend there, someone with a pair of eyes that you trust. So it's going to be nice to have you there. We can collaborate afterwards, be like, did you see this too?
Yeah, and the content afterwards is going to be obviously insane. I cannot wait. But
when we do roundtables and shows like this, we can both speak from a position of knowledge, which is nice.
Right, and that's the thing, right? Like, I'm not speculating. I'm not going to be someone who's taking someone else's report. Even if I'm wrong, I'm still giving you what I saw, and that's fine, and that's what I want. I want to get to a point where we're going to be there, and my opinion is based on things that I've seen, not things that I've read, not things that I am swayed by the people that I actually enjoy. Hey, look, you and I, we disagree all the time. If you say, hey, look, Trey looked really good today, and I say, I don't think he did, for these, good. Yes. It's good to have differing opinions, and it's good to be able to be there and be able to see it.
That's the thing you'll notice is even though we're all there watching the same thing, we all see different things. It's that's just human nature. And that's what makes this very interesting. So it'll be cool to compare notes.
Absolutely.
All right, you're up. Number 9. Last
development. Deebo Samuel. Just stay healthy. Just stay healthy. Just stay healthy. Stay healthy this entire camp. I'm not worried about what you can do because we know what you can do when you're in this offense. It's fine. You got me to say something, about him that I probably shouldn't have said, but I kind of believe in a little bit of a way. But at the same time, I was
being a jerk that day.
No, that's fine. It works. You did get me, and that was a valuable lesson in media right there. Valuable lesson. No, it's fine. It's fine. I did believe that when I said it. I probably should have worded it a different way, but I am very interested to see that he.
No, it was 100% my fault because of the title. 100% my fault. I set you up. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Yes. It's fine. Like I said, it's media training right there, and boom, that's your first lesson.
80% of the comments probably were written by people who just saw the title and didn't listen to a word you said. All my bad. Let's move on.
It's fine.
I take 100% responsibility.
No, it's fine. Great. Like I said, I learned a lesson that day, and that's fine. But what I want to say is I want to make sure that he makes it through. What's up, Bosa? But that he makes it through the entire time healthy, and he is that guy that he was in 2019 because you see how vital he is to the offense eventually when he got rolling in 2019. So Deebo Samuel, man, just make it through. He's working hard right now. He's posting all his workout videos. That's great and all. But I want to see this offense with Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, and eventually Jalen Hurd all together. I want to see it all together in camp, and I want to see how this even can confuse guys that are in the same building with them. And I want to see what sort of problems they present, how much pressure they're putting on defenses. I just want to see everybody make it through healthy, but I need Deebo Samuel to be healthy this entire camp and be game 1, 100%, no issues, no foot, no hamstring, nothing at all, ready to go.
I feel like Deebo Samuel is the offense's version of Jimmy Ward. Hell of a player, but broken bones lead to soft tissue injuries. And the way I see what Deebo is last year, what he does is he'll break a bone, he'll be in shape, he works out super hard, maybe too hard, breaks a bone, misses time, comes back, works out too hard, pulls a hamstring. And then it's just like recurring. So it's like a downward spiral that happens. And it didn't happen to him in 2019. It hasn't happened to him since this year. And it comes back to something Jimmy Ward said that I've known about for a while. But both Jimmy Ward, I'm going to say this in a polite way, both Jimmy Ward and Deebo Samuel are very dark. And what Jimmy Ward said is, if you're very dark, you need to take vitamin D supplements because you're not getting enough of the sun's rays in Santa Clara, California. And he gets that. And I think he's realized it's helped him not break bones. Jimmy Ward. Deebo Samuel should be doing the same stuff. I bet he is. And I have a feeling he's going to have a really good year because he's gone through the down. He sees what can happen if you're not on top of all those little things that Jimmy Ward's learned. And he should be there right now. I mean, even Kyle said, like, this is what's going to make or break it for Deebo Samuel is keeping his body healthy. I think he's got it now. If Jimmy Ward knows the key, Deebo Samuel should know it too.
I mean, that's a great point. And you hope that sort of stuff is being passed around. And
yes.
You hope that's because, you see how important it is. Like, literally in the Super Bowl, sorry, guys, Deebo Samuel was ripping the Chiefs up, and for a long time was the best player on the offensive side of the ball in that game. And he was much closer to an MVP than Jimmy Garoppolo was in that game. And I'm not trying to like dump on Jimmy or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain how good he was in that game and how the Chiefs had no answer for those push passes and those slants. I mean, those slants, the end around. So like it's just impossible to guard because he's so good with the ball in his hands. He just needs to put it together and stay healthy. I'm excited to see what this offense can look like with every single person clicking and working. And I think that's really what I mean when I talk about Deebo Samuel.
Will Craig says, I wish we would have made a move for Tavon Jenkins rather than settle for Banks. Bears scored a huge plus for getting him off topic, but just my thoughts. What do you think?
I think that they kind of think along the lines that we're thinking. Banks is a goal domer. Maybe it'll unlock something with Mike McGlinchey. Maybe that the thing that Mike McGlinchey is missing right now is he's missing Joe Staley. And he's missing that leadership that Joe Staley gave him, like being able to go to his room and say, let's go over this again. Can you talk to me? So with the C on his chest, he has to be a leader. And I think that he's going to start to grow into that. But it's good to see somebody who's there, who has been from the same college as him, played in that same scheme. And I think the both of them will collaborate well. And that's another thing to look for. I know this is like, this isn't one of them, but Aaron Banks's progression and how he looks at right guard, if he is the right guard starting, because he wasn't right on during OTAs, right? It was Brunskill, right? It wasn't Banks. Okay, yeah. So you don't really spend the draft capital that you do for an Aaron Banks to have him sit. That doesn't make much sense, So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out.
Definitely. All right, last one, mine. I already did this.
There's a curveball.
I mean, this is the way I look at it. Kyle Shanahan's decision making. There's two ways you could look at the Niners' misfortune: bad luck or decision making problems. I'm gonna go with. I mean, it's a combination, but I'm going to go with the part that the Niners can control, the part that Kyle Shanahan can control. And a lot of stuff falls under this umbrella. How he structures his training camp practices. How many guys are going to get hurt in his training camp? Because if they can get this team to week one relatively healthy, watch out. This team, I mean, to me, this team beats itself more than other teams beat it. They're so competitive. They can beat teams with their third-string quarterback. They just get down to their third-string quarterback. They get down to their third-string running back. Can they keep themselves healthy? Can Kyle keep his team healthy somehow? Can he make the right decisions that lead to that? Because if he loses week one to Detroit, God help him and the whole team. I don't even want to go there. So his decision-making in terms of that, and then his decision-making in terms of the quarterback spot. How are you going to structure the quarterback competition? When are you going to insert Trey Lance? Got to get that right. You can't split the locker room here. You got to be delicate. This is a lot of important decisions Kyle Shanahan has to make. Decision-making has been his weakness, in my opinion, but he can prove me wrong. I'd like to see that. Kyle Shanahan's decision-making. I don't want to leave it up to chance. I want to put this on the head coach.
Yeah, and I'm tired of speculating about how vigorous the practices are. Not speculating, but trying to like read all into other people. I'm really interested to see what exactly is going on. Who's running 100% of the plays? Like we understand that Fred's doing that without a contract. That's Fred Warner, though. That's different. And does that mean that everybody should be doing that? Yes and no. Certain guys you kind of have to know. You have to baby along a little bit, not baby, but just make sure that you're careful with them. It's almost like you want to keep them in a little bit of bubble wrap as well. But I'm very interested to figure out what the tempo of these practices are like. Who exactly is on the field all the time, and that's stuff that I would have never known unless I get to be up close, and that's what we're gonna find out in about 2 weeks. So I agree, and I can't really give a opinion on this because I don't know. For sure. I've never been there. I've never seen any of those practices. You can speculate and say, hey, he pushes them too hard, but I can't say that because I've never seen it. So I think that's going to be very interesting that's a good one at 10. That's really good. That's one that I never really thought of. I really want to see what the practices look like. I want to see what the tempo looks like. I want to see how hard he's pushing guys. And, God forbid, that somebody gets injured, then maybe we'll be able to point to something. But I'm looking to, get through this camp with no injuries at all, anything like that. And I just can't wait, man. I can't speak more about this.
He's already said he's not going to alter his training camp, but he says a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? He could be lying. He could totally change things. He could say whatever he wants to say. I feel like he did that. I mean, he didn't let anyone know that he had changed his thinking on quarterbacks and was going to draft Trey Lance. That kind of came out of the blue for a lot of people high up in media. Maybe he could be doing the same thing here. You think I've said I'm not going to change things up. I don't have to be truthful here. This is private. I'm going to do what I have to do. It'd be very interesting because to me, again, if he can just I know he wants to prepare his team. It's year 5. You got a lot of vets on this team. Just get them to week 1 healthy. See what you can do because you haven't been able to really do that yet. See what happens.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I think that's the goal. Is just get everybody healthy. Get them to the Greek. Get them to week 1 and just get everybody. That's it. That should be the goal. And also to prepare guys. But again, like I just talked about Jalen Hurd, right? You don't want to be running Jalen Hurd 100% of the time. Like show us what you're going to be using him, and you show him and get him prepared. Show us how you're going to utilize him, and then we'll see. But having him out there 100% of the time and running him a lot more than maybe he should just be working off on the side. That's the stuff that I'm going to be looking for and stuff that I'm going to try to keep my eyes on.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
I would like that show. See, we always get something, man.
Absolutely. And we're not grasping. Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait, man. And something that I've always dreamed of doing, and it's very close. And today, I think it really hit me today when I booked the flight to actually go out there. I was like, wow, this is actually going to happen. And, I can't wait to be a part of media, and I can't wait to be able to give my 2 cents on everything that I saw, man. And I can't wait to meet everybody. Besides you, like there's a lot of people that I want to be able to say, hey, hello, introduce myself. And it's exciting times, man. Really exciting.
Make sure you subscribe to Jason on YouTube, follow him on Twitter, because pretty soon I'm not going to be the only post-practice show in town. Jason's pretty good too. He's going to be there, and we're going to collaborate too.
I was about to say, I'm certain that we'll do our shows where we get to bounce, ideas off of each other because of what we saw, and that's what I'm looking forward to as well. But
also, they usually have practices where they invite fans. And I will let you guys know they didn't do it last year. They're probably going to do it this year.
They are.
You guys are probably going to want to go. I'll let you know what the dates are and what the protocol is to get a ticket, because I don't think it's hard to get a ticket.
I think from everything that I had heard, I believe that it was open to exclusively season ticket holders. But from everything that I'm trying to look at, I think that there's a little bit more that's open on certain days. You just have to be, what is it? I believe 20 feet away from phase 1 or tier 1 team.
No problem.
Yeah, so like they'll make it work. There'll be fans there, and you guys will be able to see stuff as well too. But
yeah,
man, I can't believe it's this close. Like we literally went months trying to figure out how are we going to fill this time, and now look how quickly things have happened. And now this is prime time. Now we're getting close to it.
I think of the off season, especially July, as like just rowing a boat through the ocean with no end in sight. It's a little scary, but right now you can see shore. It's right there. It's right there, and it's glorious. The weather looks nice. I cannot wait. Thank you guys for watching today. I'm going to be on Twitch in 10 minutes, twitch.tv/RealGrantCohn, and then at 3, Roundtable. And then I'm done I won't see you guys till next week. So thank you, everyone. See you in a little bit.